found my purpose, and my purpose has always been to teach. I studied interior architecture actually, so I came in from an interior architect perspective. So coming to this experience, I really decided, let me try and look at it from a feasibility perspective and really understand what the nation understands it to be. I kind of made a decision. I made a pact with myself at 22. I said, decide, do you want to still follow the private jets, Gucci bags, Louis Vuitton bags, and they're all seasonal. And you ask yourself, but is it worth it? What am I willing to do to get my career going? I decided that I was going to be the behind the scenes person. No makeup, no done up hair, no heels, just keep it simple, get the heat in your face and do the work. In order to be able to get your work out there, you needed to just focus on being behind the scenes.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Welcome again to MTN Career Series, and today is going to be a fantastic day. By the way, my name is Ray Abdul, and we have a beautiful guest in the house. And when we have a beautiful guest, of course, you know it's going to be a very beautiful conversation. So my guest, I want to take my time and talk about her. So in 2011, she left everything in South Africa and moved to Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, and she's been thriving 10 years in the industry. Of course, it has to do with a lot of resilience and sustainability. Guys, she's my guest here today. I'm talking about none other but the founder of Iroko Designs, Ayanda Carter. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sawubona.
Sawubona.
Yes,
How you doing?
got it. I'm very well, thank you.
Nice to have you. High five. I like to do high five with my guests. How are you doing this morning?
Very good.
Okay.
Very good. Thank
To
you.
start with, your story is one that really intrigues me, and I was very excited when I read about it. So in 2011, you packed your things and you said, hey, I am coming to that city of gold and honey, which is Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes.
Why the move?
Most definitely. Well, I came with a company. We were doing interior design in Akure, actually, which is a bit out of Lagos. But I got an opportunity to really share times with people in Akure and then Lagos, and I experienced people from a different perspective. You know, very confident and very feisty. When I'd get back to South Africa, they call and still tell me that, oh, can I come and visit you in South Africa?
Wow.
And I was wondering where this boldness and confidence came from. I said, I think I want to go back to that country one of these days.
Yeah.
And an opportunity came, and that was it.
But how did they take you back home?
Well, wow. I was coming from a very strict home, you know, very education is number one.
Yeah.
Let's focus. But my mom and dad, with that opportunity, said, hey, you know, why don't you have this opportunity? Go to Nigeria, experience it, and come back and let us know what that is like.
Okay. So before we let her go, we'll know what it's like.
Yes.
But, you know, just a beautiful woman in Nigeria, all alone. You were all alone.
Yes, correct.
And then trying to, you know, start up your company.
Yeah.
How was it like for you? What were the challenges that you faced? Like, what would you say was the number one challenge that you faced moving to Nigeria?
I think initially my mindset was I was not telling myself I've moved. So I would
Okay.
tell myself I still live in South Africa,
Yeah.
but I'm just visiting. And as I would come in, I'd go to various projects. I would go from project, go back to South Africa, project, and go back. And at that moment, I was still trying to understand the country and people, how business runs, from the different industries, from developers, architects, going from office to office, trying to understand the dynamics. And then, of course, trying to understand how legally I needed to ensure my business is registered and how I would be here as long as I was. And that really was a lot more of the challenging aspects of it. But I took it in my stride. I said, let me not look at the challenging aspects, let me take it in the positive realm, which I did. And that was it. It may seem simple, but it really wasn't as simple as that.
And
I think going between Lagos, then Akure, Abuja at the time kind of gave me, and Asaba. I lived in Asaba for 2 years actually.
So do you speak a little bit of Igbo? Kedu?
None actually. None, but I lived in Asaba for 2 years actually, and that really exposed me so much more. And I changed my perspective. I decided I want to understand the cultures, and I went to different funerals and parties and got into the food of Delta State at the time, and it was really one of the best experiences I've actually had in my earlier days.
All right. So before we go to even Iroko Designs and the years, you know, you've been in the industry, would you say moving to Nigeria was a life changer for you?
Oh, extremely. I think if you think in your mind and say you want to do an MBA anywhere in the world, I know that Nigeria itself as a country, it gave me that MBA and master's degree in the experience of understanding Nigeria. Yes, of course. And you know, that relentlessness. Back home we have a relentlessness, but it's not as bold as it's been for me in Nigeria. Really from understanding what that hustle spirit is. And it's not easy for everybody, whether you're foreign or local.
Yeah.
You know, but it's been such an intriguing moment at times when you kind of feel you want to give up. then it's not noisy enough in South Africa. Next minute, I'm like, Mom, I need to get back to Lagos. This is too quiet for me.
And, it's so beautiful because we kind of have like a similar story because I left Ghana. And I'm telling you, every Nigerian in the comment section, I just want you to say, I'm proud to be a Nigerian. Because I left Ghana and I tell you, there's something about Nigeria. There's that hustling spirit. Like, Nigerians, they carry last.
Yeah.
They say that and they really stand by it. So when you talk about the hustling spirit, I really get it with you. But let's talk about Iroko Designs, setting it up. And I want you to be very candid because we have a lot of people watching that, would want to learn from you. So I want us to be very candid with the conversations. But Iroko Designs, how was it like for you starting that company?
So it was a very different dynamic for me. I studied interior architecture, actually. So I came in from an interior architect perspective, and I came to an experience where people were a lot more decorators. People were just kind of doing slowly residential projects here and there. But ours was more in-depth because we spent time on construction sites. We'd spend time understanding what the developers or architects needed. So for me, it was a lot deeper than that. So coming to this experience, I really decided, let me try and look at it from a feasibility perspective and really understand what the nation understands it to be. And then, of course, trying to register into it was like, okay, fine, you're an interior decorator. I'm like, oh no, we're not interior decorator. It's so much more than that. And then trying to educate even the teams that I've had over the years, what it means and why do you need to be on site now? It's still a construction. I'm like, this is the time we're supposed to be on site now. It's not actually the end product. So it was that dynamics and having to have that experience back home and in Nigeria and explain that, look, there's actually a huge difference.
A huge difference.
Yes, there really is.
But 10 years, when I hear 10 years, I think about resilience. I think about, the courage. I think about the fact that there were so many times that you would have given up, but you said no. Because 10 years is not a joke in a business.
A long time,
and in as much as we love Nigeria, it can be difficult from the economic, to sometimes. How was it like for you,
So I think, it's really important to explain. I'm coming from a post-apartheid. I'm just born after the apartheid system in South Africa. So we are so familiar to understanding black, white, colored, Indian, Chinese in our genre. And I'm coming into an environment where everybody is just so bold and confident.
Exactly.
And that is a culture shock for me. At that culture shock, I said, okay, let me take advantage of this and assist myself, better myself to understand what it is like being in an environment like that. Also, I took all these positive aspects of the fact that, okay, being in a fully, if I can call it a fully black country, it's so different for me. But I took it in my stride and said, okay, this is going to build my character and my relentlessness at every given term. So at any point where anyone was giving me trouble, or I said, okay, you know what? You just have to take in yourself. What would a Nigerian do right now? Okay, fine. You know what? You can actually get through it. And I did many times over. It has tested my character so much, but I've never given up on it. And I've always kept as strongly recreating, coming up with new ideas consistently in this environment. And it's turned out really well for me over the years. And I'm still learning. I never stop learning.
Okay. But I'm going to go a little bit deeper. A young, very beautiful girl, because you're so beautiful. Of course, I was definitely good. There's no way I'm not going to talk about this on the show. And we know how it is. How did you handle all the advances at that point? So, did you ever get to a point where, because a lot of people are watching, and I like to be very candid with my interviews, did you ever get to a point where, there was a contract you had to get, but there was a particular, did that happen a lot?
It happened a lot in the beginning because it was a dynamic I was never used to. You kind of date someone that's your age, and you don't really get advances so much from married couples and that sort of thing. But I kind of made a decision. I made a pact with myself at 22. I said, decide. Do you want to still follow the private jets, Gucci bags, Louis Vuitton bags, and they're all seasonal. By the end of the summer, it's out of fashion. There's something new that comes in, and you ask yourself, but is it worth it? And then I also built my own self-respect. I think that's the part where you say to yourself, I mean, it is my body, it is what am I willing to do to get my career going? And I said, no, but there's certain things I'm not willing to do. And that kind of moved me out of the federal government tender environment for a long time because there was a lot I was not willing to do. And at that moment, I was losing a lot of clients. I used to pretend on the phone like my mom. I'd say, oh, hi, sorry, sir. Oh, hi, madam. Just to make them understand that I had other partners within my business. And it was very important for me to bring that through because I was getting so many of those advances. And you have to decide. I had certain tricks and ways of doing things. So if I'm going to the north, I'd wear a wedding ring, I'd wear an hijab, I'd understand how to greet in that professional and professional manner. Or if I'm in Lagos and I don't need to go to site, or I'm in Asaba, I would have my boots on, my jeans, my shirt with my Roko logo on it. I kept it as professional as possible, even though I understood the advances. I also understood there was always that, Mr. Oh, no, don't call me Mr. Ugo, call me Ugo. I said, okay, no problem, Mr. Ugo. Because you have to sustain yourself and you're on your own at that moment. You're testing, and God keeps testing you during these times, how you're able to carry yourself. And I went through that for a very long time. Until some point, I think I've known some amazing gentlemen. But Ayanda, I've known you for 10 years. Nothing has happened between us. How did you do it? And I said, what, it's only God, so don't worry about it. Let's go and do more business,
And I'm so happy you shared this, because we see a lot of people that want to get these are the conversations that we are having even till now. Exactly. A lot of young girls wanted to get into this, and sometimes you see that, they have to do certain stuff. And you just said something that really made a lot of sense. All those things are seasonal. Yes. And that's something I've held on to. But that's so beautiful as well. I also know that you've done a lot of big contracts for private and government as well. Yes. As a little girl, growing and everything, how were you able to get that strength? Working for government is different. It is. I know it's quite different from working with private. So, what were some of the challenges with that as well?
So I was very specific. I would not deal with government directly. Yeah. If it's a contract that is through a construction company that has gotten the tender and I need to execute the work, I decided that I was going to be the behind the scenes person. No makeup, no done up hair, no heels. Just keep it simple. Get the heat in your face and do the work. Because most times you're not willing to do a lot of aspects of running between department to department within federal government. So in order to be able to get your work out there, you needed to just focus on being behind the scenes. Because at the end of the day, the proof is I'd never really wanted plagiarism on having to use other people's projects as so it took me a long time to build my portfolio. I spent time trying to make sure project to project I ensure that I deliver it as best as I could. And of course, with all of them, you have certain challenges along the way.
Yeah, but looking back, what would you say has been the most challenging thing for you?
Wow, I've had a few things. I think I've had some scares. I mean, in the last 2 years of having to feel, just more scares out of the fact, when you get called in by certain SO, when you called in by EFCC, and I was like, oh my God, I'm from South Africa. How the hell would I be able to respond to this? But it was actually good. I remember a friend saying to me, Ayanda, you've been initiated. The initial time is like if you have malaria or typhoid, you've been initiated. Going to EFCC, you've been initiated. But the great thing is that you have all the information in check, and you understand that, every government and every organization and economy has its rules and regulations. You just got to follow it. And when you have that following it helps. But I think that was one of my scariest. Yeah.
Wow. Because I can imagine, that would have definitely been a huge one. But still talking about Iroko, have you been able to also sustain your designs? Because we know that a lot of new designs are coming. And when it comes to interior, I'll tell you, I don't want to say every Tom, Dick and Harry, but every beautiful girl right now will start up and say, I'm an interior designer.
Of course.
And it's happening a lot, especially in Lagos. You check Instagram, one, two, they are doing interiors.
So our industry wasn't so saturated.
Like now.
So we had the great furniture sellers, and they're on Awolowo Road. You find them in VI, you find them in Lekki, and they're selling these great products, really highly priced to some extent. And so, okay, fine, that's where the general crowd is buying from. And then now you get a lot more interior decorators that may not fully understand the differences of it, and they come into the market and say, okay, fine, you know what, I'm going to be an interior designer. But no one is really following through a conceptual flow. It's we call it a mixed masala. It's like a tossed salad of sorts. But I think there's actually some positives in that type of aspect in a way, because Nigeria is growing in a way that in other countries everything's so organized. And when you start doing a toss-up salad like this, you don't know what's going to come out of it. Yes, we can recognize the differences between real industry professionals in the market and those that are still trying to get in, or they do get in, and I welcome it, because not everyone too can afford services of full interior designers at that aspect. And yes, that's just the dynamic, amazing part about being in Nigeria.
Because everything goes.
Everything goes at that moment, and everyone has a price at what they want to give. So you just got to allow it flow.
Yeah.
You know. So it's
and because you also made a comment about, you know, people taking your designs. Have you ever had that experience where you've done something beautiful and then it's on somebody's page like they've done it? And how did you handle it?
So some of it I've gotten where I've done was probably a beautiful presentation. I've printed it out for a client. I've given it, and then I'd have a contractor take and photocopy over my logo, put his logo there, and he's getting big contracts. Yes, we've gotten such major plagiarism here, but who do you report to and say someone has stolen your idea, your concept? You know, it's a little bit out of there. And then, of course, you can see some similarities in workmanship, but not exactly. So it's very hard to find people that are doing exactly that. But like I said, at the end of the day, you welcome it because the industries are different. We know ourselves, the developers, the big boys in the industries, we all know ourselves, you know, and then you also know those that are coming into the market in its own way. So you just try to, I have a lot of NDAs with clients. I can't really post a lot about projects. At the same time, I don't really post a lot of projects that are really private off of that for 2 or 3 reasons. Some clients don't want it to be seen anywhere, and other clients would prefer that, oh, please don't use that exact material. So we always try to make projects different every single time.
Exactly. But this is something I really wanted to hammer on, because I was having a conversation with someone and they made mention that interior design is not something you go to school to learn. But I know that you went to interior design school, and people are like, oh, it's something that is a God gift. So I'm like, I needed to, like, I want you to differentiate this on the show, because it was a serious argument. They're like, it's a gift. You can't learn, like how they say there's some things you cannot learn, you know, you are born with it, you know. So just help me with that.
Okay, so there's major differences. Of course, you have to go to university or
no, university fine, but interior school.
Interior school, so there's differences. Interior schools can either teach you interior decoration, and then interior architecture is more on a technical basis. You work with engineers on site, you work with AC people, you work with plumbers. You kind of understand the construction layout of the space. Furnishing is really the last thing. How does the space look entirely without furniture? Why have you designed it in a way that there's a human behavior that says, I should put a plug over here because we are having a conversation and I want to charge my phone here? Or the AC is coming a certain way and the ceiling needs to be designed in a way that can accommodate the chandelier and architectural lighting. Of course, there's a lot of detail. I think it would be very premature to say that, because the rest of the world deals with interior design and interior architecture at a very high level of professionalism. Whether it's Dubai or Qatar or New York, it can never be that is a God-given. If it's a God-given talent, more so I would say if it's doing the fine arts, because the fine arts allows you to play with different mediums. You can paint, you can come up with a medium you're most comfortable enough to express. But interior design, there's certain fundamental, there's symmetry, there's balance, there's understanding of certain norms. But like I said, because we're in a toss salad environment right now, it's welcomed because people are trying different aspects, and I welcome those changes because we don't know how far it can go. But if you can compare it to South Africa, man, it's a huge difference in terms of interior architecture. It's a serious career, and people take the norms of construction, interior design, architecture in ways that you explain it, that it's not going to look like, okay, fine, but why did they just decide to just make a big window on the top there and it doesn't make sense? In places in South Africa and even in Abuja, they will tell you, we wanted to frame the mountain so that you don't actually have to have a physical picture there. You're actually framing the landscape of the environment you're in. So there's different understandings of it, and that's why I'm saying that in the midst of it, it's always good to educate yourself about it. We've also come up with an academy called Melanin Creatives.
Definitely. We'll talk about that most definitely.
Yes, but it's for those reasons, to make people understand that there are certain dynamics you must know. You just have to know to be able to build your talents.
All right, so I'm going to ask you something personal now. Do you think if you were in South Africa, you would be this successful?
Okay.
It's just a question.
Yes and no. Okay. So no from this aspect, because when I was working in South Africa, I was working for a great company. Okay. South Africa's way of living kind of teaches you to box up. I'm going to work for this company for the next 30 years. Your settlement is sorted out. Your health insurance is sorted out. You feel like you're going to be there forever, pretty much. And that's the environment and economy you grew up in, right? And then you come into an economy where there's literally close to no rules. You set the rules. And that allows you to kind of play around with what you're talented with or not talented with. So back in South Africa, it would have been a bit difficult from that standpoint because there's a lot of support, a lot more. Then there was a lot more support for white businesses. Now it's a major support for Black women in business, right? But you have to have the right mindset. Your mindset has to be broadened enough to welcome having to target all those aspects, because we have a large conglomerate and a monopoly of different industries that you just wake up and you're in Sandton and there's this large skyscraper and you're like, okay, but who are the contractors that came up with this? It's been so internally lit that you yourself as an external company may not have even known that is ongoing. So no, I think in that dynamic then I may not have been as successful, but now with the character and relentlessness I've built in Nigeria and this character I have now going back home, I can give them a run.
Now you know you're a hustler. Ayanda is the hustler now.
For sure.
But we've been fighting for gender equality, and as a woman, as a Black woman, doing extremely well. And the things you do, I'm sorry to say, are what men do.
Yeah.
You know, you're fighting in the territory of where men are because you're trying to close big deals, big contracts. You know, do you think that at some point you've been limited?
Oh, definitely. I think, we have to understand that here it's a little bit different. The steps back home are laid in the professional way of it is between it. Coming from government is construction, then it's laid down from architect to developer, etc., etc. Here, you can find an architectural firm or a developer that's doing his own internal finishing. He'll buy his own tiles. He'll tell you I'm doing this and that. It's a very big dynamic. You have to be able to choose. Are you going to actually go and gun and get that large contract to do the construction bit, or are you going to take it off of the contractor to do it? So there are many challenges for women in that environment, most definitely. I mean, like I said to you, the limitations part is what are you willing to do and how far do you want to go off of it? You have to kind of choose the areas.
But has that been your biggest challenge so far?
It was, because like I said to you, I pulled myself out of doing a lot of government contracts because as much as I love the government and all of the great people that hold their high esteemed positions, you're not always wanting to be in Abuja, 1 a.m. meetings in Abuja, and I'm like, I'm a woman, I need to sleep, my bags under my eyes, but you find yourself in those dynamics, and that really limited me to an extent, because I felt, how am I supposed to close on some of this business? Do you even believe me?
I was going to go to that.
Most people
I was going to go
do you
to
really
that.
do what you do? I'm like, oh my gosh,
I was going to go to that.
What do you want me to do at this point? Can I take you to my projects perhaps and see, oh yeah, but why do you think you have to charge? What makes you think you need to charge that fee that you're charging? Are you really worth that? And that's when that, in turn, that relentlessness comes back as a woman. Is, you're going to fight for this position because you actually know what you're doing. You're trying to undermine me and put me in through a lot of experiences. I've had experiences last year, especially with extreme bullying. Like extreme bullying. This client was, bent on trying to say, you're not worth it at this rate. And this fee you're charging me isn't it. I'm going to just snatch your design. I will use your design, I'll blow it and make it as popular as possible. And it's okay. And I think the most difficult part is I couldn't speak. I just couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything outwardly. I couldn't say, this is the position we're in. And I think that is the most amount of wisdom I've had to grow and being relentless, because even after all that bullying, you kind of feel like, I'm not going back to South Africa. No, I'm not. It's okay. This is not the end of the world. This too shall pass. God will just let this be. And truth be told, I look at the work, I'm proud of it. And it's all over the world. So thank you for the free publicity.
But Ayanda, I must say, I'm really, really glad that you're opened. You're this opened. I want to say thank you so much for that, because a lot of times people try to hide back, but I love the way you're being candid with the conversations. Well, I can say you're a powerhouse right now.
Yes.
How have you been able to change that narrative? How did you get to the point that people started trusting you? People started taking you seriously? Because sometimes as a woman, you can put in all the work, you can do everything right, but it takes one click for people to start taking you serious.
You see, so I've been fortunate enough to work a lot in the private sector. I've dealt a lot with residential projects, and residential projects are always private. Clients' houses are their private homes. It's like you're a stylist for fashion and interior architecture, you're a stylist for the home. And that person is trusting me to ensure that the design style is what you like. So it may not be what I like, per se, but I've understood that person's character and personality. I've had a client that is absolutely crazy about art. And he goes around buying from Nikkei Art Gallery, he'll buy investment art all over the country. And so, and we'll pause in his house and say, but Ayanda, do you think that artwork will fit over here? Because it's that personal, So because of those certain dynamics, you meet that you have to kind of respect the client's needs and respect your design direction so that they don't clash over time.
But what would you say the future of interior is in, I want to use Africa, because right now we see a lot of designs. I see designs from interior design and I'm like, wow. Did I just rhyme? I see designs from interior designers. Okay. And I'm like, wow, this is beautiful, like innovative. Like they are bringing designs that you would know Hollywood designs, So what would you say is the future of, interior business, in Africa?
So I like I said, we're on a testing ground right now. Everyone is trying everything. It's like fashion. You wear something, it goes out of fashion. You try something new. Interiors are becoming that. And you're seeing it a lot predominantly in restaurants. Restaurants literally all over Lagos. It's like a new trend. There's a new restaurant. There's a new feel. But I think in-depthly, we are yet to find our own conceptual language that aspires to, okay, why did I use this particular Ife bead from Ibadan, or why did I use this particular? So we are going in-depthly into a more conceptual design phase, and it takes time to get there. That notion may take another year, 2 years, 3 years until we really get there. However, like I said, everyone is just trying. We're bringing things in from Turkey, from China, from London, from Italy, and
we ever bring things from Nigeria?
Oh no, Nigeria is now starting to make some nice things.
Because I see some nice things.
I
see some very nice things.
We are building this industry so amazingly, but we needed a testing ground. So even with the government, thank you for restricting us, for bringing things in. But at the same time, I'm quite interested and intrigued to see how the local market is developing so strongly in creating a lot of the designs abroad. But now we're starting to create our own creative elements that resonate with the environment we're living in.
Yeah, because I see some designs, I'm not even going to lie to you. I saw those chairs that someone had made, and I had to ask, I'm like, wait, and they said they made it in Nigeria. I'm like, wait, are you serious? But my fear now is that I don't want it to become expensive. That's not the problem. If that's the demand, is that you have to get it from Nigeria. That's my only fear, that it may not be very high, when like the most important thing is for it to be less for people to afford it.
Well, there's two things. We need to understand that in a developed environment, you have electricity, you have water, you have factories, you have logistics. You can just go down the road you can go to IKEA and buy a piece. Whereas here we need to be open enough to go to Suleri and Mushi and try and find the fabrics and the items we need to I wouldn't say reduce the price. But also build the industry. Sometimes we may think it's expensive, but inevitably they still have to pay for diesel, for generator, to run that machine, to cut that wood, to dry it, this and that. It costs money. So in building an industry, I think we need to give ourselves a chance. I know some things can be a bit expensive, but you can't compare it to importation. Importation is like crazy right now.
Like, really but crazy. I know you're doing a lot of give back, and 10 years in the business. I know you are trying to impact a lot of young people through the millennial,
Melanin creatives,
and creatives. And I know that you're doing that a lot. But I want you to take me behind the initiative. Why so much passion in trying to tell the young ones that, you can do it, focus, and trying to teach them the correct thing?
So, the great thing, like I said, when you're in a world where there's little to, I would say no rules, because it's allowing me to create. It's allowing me to think. And sometimes you design around the adversities of issues you're having in your environment. I've hired and fired so many staff over the years. I've trained so many people. I've had all those array of experiences, and I felt so pained at times.
Quickly, did you get the betrayal from the ones that you trained that turned their backs against you, or you've never experienced?
Oh, I have those, but I've forgiven them. They're doing well, so that's the most important thing. I'm helping grow the industry.
I like the godliness. I've
forgiven them. I've helped grow the industry, so that's fine.
Yeah.
The major ones are actually students coming out of university, not really prepared for the environment on ground.
Sure.
Understanding what the leveraging on AI is, and how much exposure we have to the internet and design phases and those sorts of extra curriculums that help us do good. These students are coming out into the industry, and the CVs and the portfolios is like, what are they teaching? And the crazy thing, they are teaching fundamental. They are teaching really great subjects. The thing is, does it pertain to where we are today?
Exactly.
If I take a 7-year student that studied 7 years of architecture in Unilag, and I take his portfolio as it is today, as it comes out of university, and send it to a company in Dubai. How do we leverage that height of that portfolio with a student that's coming from Qatar? They're not even reaching the level. So how do we assist all the students coming out of university, preparing them for the industry, so that the industry is also like, okay, I've got a lot of great talent to choose from that's already exposing itself, you know. So Melanin Creatives is based on that. It's really preparing you for the industry ahead, and really fast forwarding you, not just get you ahead of where you need to be. So when you come into the industry, whether you're applying to Canada or you want to do something great in Ibadan, it's something that is you leveraging, that you can say the student is at that level.
But what does it take to be part of the
Melanin Creatives? It's easy. Our platform will be on very soon. We do have offline classes as well, and in-house classes. Yes. So we do have a round class. So we have a few that are free classes, as master classes, and then of course we have the rest as paid classes. But it's worth it. Because we really want you to come out into the industry with great portfolios. And, oh my God, I'm going to apply at a James Cubitt, and I'm giving something worth.
But is it going to come out with a certificate?
Yes, correct. So we have two affiliations, one from Cape Town in Johannesburg, and we're also looking at affiliations in the US. So yes, that is on the pipeline at the moment. Yes.
But for Iroko itself, what impact would you say you have made?
Wow. Over the years, a few. So I have this huge give back food program moment. And this started a couple of years ago. I was kind of just feeling like, why is everyone giving away food during Christmas and New Year? Everyone wants to give. Everyone is remembered during Christmas. Gifts and everything. You're going to the homeless, childless home. And then I said, but what happens to people when it's February and June? And it's like the forgotten people. So I started this initiative where I go into Ajegunle.
Ajegunle. As a Ghanaian, I pronounce it for a living.
Ajegunle. I keep saying it wrong. Oh goodness.
Okay, so say Ajegunle.
Ajegunle.
Correct.
Got it. Yes. And I found that there were so many misplaced people and schools. And I said, okay, we have leftover wallpaper, we have leftover paint. Let's go into these areas, paint up the schools, give it a lively look and feel, and actually spend time in the community, kind of understand the differences of what we call Lagos and what Lagos in other areas really is. And you find that in most of it, it humbles you. I've had moments where it's humbled me so much. I'm like, okay, fine. Do I change my initiative and understand the overall need for education or light or power, whatever the case may be? So so those are some of the initiatives I've worked on over the years.
But what's going to be the most gratifying, aspect of what you do for you?
For me,
like what point are you going to get to that you sit and be like, oh, Ayanda, we did it?
Well, so I can say openly, I've found my purpose, and my purpose has always been to teach. To teach and to give. Okay, giving, I've always been that, no doubt. But when it comes to teaching and empowering, there's no use me holding all this knowledge in my mind and traveling the world and having all these experiences and not sharing them, and especially amongst our own people. So my biggest and most gratifying feeling is this purpose of teaching. So that's why Melanin Creatives just falls in play. I'm like, okay, I've dealt with all these clients, I've dealt with all the bullying, I'm now ready to serve my purpose.
Beautiful, amazing. What the conversation has just been so impactful, and I'm sure a lot has been learned, because I've learned a lot as well. But we're going to do some fun games. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to put your brain to the test. And the fact that you're a teacher, I'm expecting you to get everything, because you're a teacher. Okay, so we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, it's fun time with Ayanda. Don't go anywhere. So welcome back. It's time for games, and our teacher, I'm not going to call you Ayanda anymore. I'm going to call you our teacher. She's right here with us. So we're going to do the Mogul Monikers right now. I'm going to give you a hint, and then you're going to tell me the answer. So you're going to pick from number 1 to 72.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so pick.
That's a lot.
So pick any number from 1 to 72. Pick any number.
Number 8.
First of all, I wish you all the best.
Oh my God, that was even late. You said it too late. Okay, number 8.
Number 8. Okay, so let's go. He co-founded an electric car company that changed the automobile industry in space level. Who is he?
Oh, space level.
Yeah, who is he? Very easy.
Oh, it would have been Elon Musk. I think there were people even before him.
Let's go. Okay, so another number.
Yes, number 4.
Number 4. Okay. Oh, okay, nice. He co-founded a tech company in his garage that became the world's largest retailer. Who is this person?
Oh, is it Microsoft?
No.
Is it my Apple's?
The name starts from J.
Jay, you just made that worse.
J. The name starts from J.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So let me take it again. He co-founded a tech company in his garage that became the world's largest retailer.
Mark Zuckerberg. Really?
Go. You can do it. Try.
There's been bigger ones than that too.
You go. J. Starts from J. Initials JB.
No, I was about to say something Nigerian.
Say it.
I was about
Say it.
I was about to say Julius Berger, and I'm like, oh my god, why am I even thinking about Julius Berger? No, my head is spaced out.
Okay, so it's Jeff Bezos.
How can I miss that?
Okay, no, not to worry. So choose
you should have
another.
asked me something local.
You have one more. You have one more to choose. So
Okay.
one more number.
Number 88.
88.
Yes, you said. Oh,
No.
that's not 88. Oh my goodness.
Teacher, what are you trying to play a
44,
smart one on me?
yes, I am. 44.
Okay,
Maybe
44.
keep the 4s and the 8s.
Okay, 44. Where do we have our 44 here? Okay. So now that it's going inside, it can get more difficult. Okay. So, a Nigerian entrepreneur and influencer who turned her YouTube channel into a major lifestyle brand, pre-eating food, family, and lifestyle content to millions. Who is the person?
Is it Hilda?
No, not Hilda.
How can you said food?
Yeah, a Nigerian entrepreneur and influencer
Do you know how many are in
who
this country
turned.
right now?
No, but this one is very popular for this.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She turned her YouTube channel into a major lifestyle brand,
Uh-huh.
pre-recreating food, family, and lifestyle content to millions.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy for her.
Hello?
Please, can she just invite me for lunch? I'll come there.
Sissy, Yemi.
Really?
Yeah.
Sissy, please can you invite me for Amala and then we do and we
Oh, what's your best? I didn't even ask you. What's your best Nigerian food?
That's my favorite.
You like
That's
I
my
like
favorite
amala
from,
too.
but I also like umfe sala, the white soup.
It's offense like my
Umfe
Igbos.
salad.
Please don't be annoyed by
Please don't be upset.
I think it's
really?
offense salad now.
Umfe, you just arrived.
No,
I've
but
been here
I'm
that
very good
long.
with languages. I speak French. I speak Hausa.
Oh
Je
my
parle
god.
bien français.
Are you
Nadia
serious?
Hausa so say.
That is crazy.
All right.